Well, g'day there, Facebookers. This is a YouTuber formerly known as Flat Earth Aussie Jesus. Yeah. As you can see, I've walked down a few paths. Can you imagine, right, that you're driving down a road, as you do. Perhaps you were somewhere in Asia, because this is where it obviously seemed to occur. It was somewhere in Asia, and so a good Samaritan obviously got his camera person out previously to film the fact that there was a rock slide on the road, and that therefore we could see vehicles had to just veer around it quite quickly, quite rapidly, assuming something was coming the other way, as you might often do. Well, then that could have been quite disastrous. So it was a hazardous situation. And so myself, being an Aussie, watching this video, and we watched the Good Samaritan come along, and what did he do? He stopped his car. Well, of course, had the camera person, well, I won't say cameraman anymore, we can no longer say min, it has to be person. So the camera person was filming this the whole time, obviously watching the truck drivers and other vehicles going around it, which is good, because the Good Samaritan I think we can say tin. Can we say Samaritan? Or that might be a little bit racially prejudiced. For fuck's fucking sakes, what cannot say these days? Let me think about it. You can say Samaritan. You cannot say Semitan, because that would be anti-Semitic. Hang on, anti-Semitic. It's something that you can't say anyway. But what you can say is that this person with apparently Asian features, because obviously you can't predetermine that he's Asian just by looking at him jumping out of his car and doing the Good Samaritan deed. But what he did do, obviously under camera, pre-planned, because this is what it's all about, isn't it? Like, isn't it? So he started throwing the rocks off the road, as any good, decent citizen would do, trying to avoid a hazard. But yeah, as somebody who works in the traffic management industry, we're obliged to follow certain laws. So we would have to set up a site, put up signs before it, the other side of it, all sorts of warnings, just to cover our ass. It's all about insurance, really. It's got nothing to do with actual safety. But anyway, this person that comes from somewhere that appearing to look like maybe somewhere in Asia jumps out of his car and he starts throwing the rocks off the side of the road. And so you've got, obviously, if you've got a landslide or a rock slide, you've got rocks coming down this way, you've got the road, and then you've got the other side of the road where you'd assume is the most sensible place to throw remnants of these rocks. Okay, like, I'm pretty sure anybody with any amount of sense, I'm not sure that's the thing, but if you've got any amount of sense, then you would assume that's the sensible place to put the rocks, because if you put them back towards the cliff face from which they fell, they may not sort of go that way. It might kind of bounce back a little bit, like just, like I haven't taken a course in this, so I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not an expert. But what I'm thinking is that if you threw them over the precipice over the other side, that would be pretty sensible, because all those bits can just get out of the way, get off the road, and stop presenting a hazard on the road. And this is pretty much what the video is all about, is that, a good Samaritan, I think I can still say that word these days, it's hard to say these. An apparently Samaritanish looking person with Asianish looking persuasion, I think that's okay-ish to say, he's out of his vehicle and he's throwing all the little bits over the precipice. But when he gets this great big chunk of rock, he can't move it. He's struggling. He's doing, it's very dramatic. It's all looking great for the camera. Drama. I can't move. So eventually he moves it back to the side of the wall from which it obviously dropped from in the first place. So me, being just an idiot, because, I'm natural born idiot, Australian larrikin, I just thought, that was cool. All of it, all, like, every comment that I could see, every single one was just like praising him. Oh, what a nice person, what a good Samaritan. Yes, I can say that because that was in it. All this stuff was saying what a great bloke he was, basically. And yeah, probably would have done the same. But because I'd seen it on Facebook and just wanted to make a comment that, just to make people laugh a little bit. That's sometimes what I do. I just make comments to kind of encourage people to laugh a little bit. So what does I say? I says, just chuck all the little fellas over the precipice, but save that one big guy. That was it. That's pretty much all I said. Like, I can find a screenshot and prove to you that that's all I said. And what do you know? What do you know is that my Facebook, Ross Thatcher, has another 30-day ban for breaching policies because I use the words guys and fella when talking about fucking rocks that had fallen onto the road, that had far more violence occurred to them in their dropping experience onto the road. A guy came along and chucked some over the precipice on the other side. So I sort of said, chuck the little guys over, but save the one big fella. It was just a stupid, humorous comment. It meant nothing. It's not even something that I would have even thought twice about, except I just thought, just make a fucking funny comment. What the fuck ever. 30-day ban from Facebook for talking about throwing rocks over the side of a fucking road. and saving the one big one because he wasn't saving it, he just couldn't fucking move it. So yeah. This is me just making my little fucking rant for the day. There it was. We nearly saw it back there. Let's have another fucking look. It is October. Well, let's look at the moon. The moon's waning. It's got to be 15th. Yeah. Yep. That'd be right. Moon's in Gemini. The moon's in Gemini. Well, there you go. When I was born, my moon was in Gemini as well. The sun may have been in Cancer because it was June 22nd. But the moon was in Gemini and the sun was only just transiting between Gemini and Cancer. Some sort of right on the cusp. So with a lot of Gemini tendencies, that's probably why you see a split personality within me quite a lot. I'm often a very nice person, but sometimes I can be that other one that you don't want to fuck with. So I'm a little bit pissed off that Facebook gave me another 30-day ban for talking about removing rocks from the road and saving the big guy by throwing him back to the other side. It's like, you have got to be kidding me. This is the age we're living in where censorship has gotten out of control because it's done by bots. I was being so well behaved because I get 30-day bans on Facebook all the time simply because I react to the occasional globetard and say something that's, I used the wrong word. So I've been extremely well behaved. And anybody can see me, like I've got 2 accounts, that's it. 2. One in my own name, Ross Thatcher. My backup account is called Eddie T. Rose. Easy to find. Eddie Rose. Eddie T. Rose. And that comes from the simple formula of how do you find your stage name? Well, you just use your grandfather's name and the name of the street you first lived on. I grew up on Rose Street, so grandfather, well, he was Thomas Edward, he was Teddy. My middle name is Edward, so I just did a little bit of how do you do about it and just said Eddie T. Which, if you really think about it, there's more to the picture than meets the eye. Oh yeah. Anyway, I'm pissed off about the way Facebook continuously bans me over nothing. And if anybody else feels the same way, when we do can't think of the word. See, this is what's happening at the moment. Every time we think of a term, I think it's something to do with group lawsuit, but I can't think of the right word. See, my brain has never been like this. My brain has always been sharp. But lately, since the 5G shit has hit the fan, I'm just looking for a simple word, a simple term. You know, we would always sometimes get tongue-tied. I'm tongue-tied, I can't think of that word. But it will come to you in a second or a minute. The way things are going at the moment. Fuck Facebook. Fuck it. But you know what? Sometimes the best weapon against your enemy, as you know, is to use their strength against them. That's why I still use it. That's why I still use the platform. And that's why you can't get rid of me. Fuck you, Zuckerberg. Fuck you. Right up the arse. Because you're a cunt. And I don't use that word lightly. To give me another 30-day ban when I've been following every rule. And the best you can do is to give me one for talking about throwing rocks off the side of a road. Shows how pathetic you are and your platform is. The truth will always prevail. You can keep censoring us as long as you like. Makes no difference. Because the truth will prevail. Mark my words.